Good morning, folks. Hope we're all having a good day. So this is going to be part 6 of our base tutorial series. And in this episode, my main focus is going to be on this first set of pillars here. Depending how I'm feeling, might do one chunk worth of regens as well. And I'm also going to do our counter cannon box. So the reason, again, why we're not doing the counter cannon box up here is because this is way too exposed. So you always want it a fair bit recessed from the base. And again, if you do want to put U fusions in, I would just go to the last chunk here, go down to about Y40, and then chunk bust maybe these 3 chunks here at about Y40. Um, if you are struggling to fit in a U fusion in like a 1 chunk area, then you probably shouldn't be doing U fusions. Anyway, when I say 1 chunk area, I mean 1 chunk wide, not 1 chunk wide and long as well. All right, so I'll just hop into this now. So we've got 2 chunks worth of pillars to be doing here today. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the pillars so we have water flowing backwards in here. So that just means putting a pillar there, and then hopefully, because these are like the right size, the water should all flow nicely. So I'm just going to clear up this area through here. All right, perfect. And then I'm going to stack this all the way up. Now, for the time being, I do want to give myself a little bit more room. Actually, I don't want to select all of that. I'll do about that. I want to give myself a fair bit of room up the front here because I want to be able to fully use that chunk. So I'm going to probably leave about 1 block back. So we'll just go stack. How many blocks is that? About 8? No, 16, 15 north. Perfect. All right, that looks pretty much bang on then. I'm happy with that. And then, of course, we don't want our hot dogs lined up with this pillar here. Instead, we're just going to shift these hot dogs over by a block. But we won't worry about that for now. This episode is just going to be on doing all of these pillars. So I'm just going to stack this all the way to the end now. Alright, so that's pretty close to what I want. And I'm going to leave this area at the back here blank. Because this is going to be for our counter box. So our counter box is going to go about here, roughly, more or less. And I actually want to give this as much room as possible. So what I'll do is I'm just going to go up into the corner of these ones here. And then now I'm going to have water on the counter box. So where's the direct corner? Probably shave that line off there. So about there, and then that should be the corner there. So I'll do it to about here, which means this line. All right. So with your counter box, I wouldn't really worry about extended revs on a counter box. 100% do revs. Extended revs, not so much. Should not be at all necessary for your counter. Because realistically, if you have normal revs, that means you're not going to get dry revved. But if you have extended revs, that means it's going to be harder for them to like basically use a rev midair or like stack up the side with just a normal rev hybrid. And realistically, if people are trying to rage a counterbox with a rev hybrid, um, then something horrible has gone wrong. It means your base is too good, pretty much. So out on this side here now, I'm just gonna quickly make sure I'm sitting in the right spot there. Yep. Stack those across, and then we can just copy this up. And I think it was 15. Let's see, 15 west. Perfect. And I'll go back to here. It's a bit funky in this one here because of course I need to edit the slab tray as well. So I'm going to go here and then we go, what did I do for the other one? Stack 74 south. Too long. It's about 69. Stack 69 south. Oh, come on. 68. 68 south. Alright, there we go. Perfect. So that's our sets of pillars there. So what I'm going to do very, very quickly is I'm just going to get some revs going for this counter box here. I'm not even going to bother with lava revs, to be completely honest. I think this just needs some water revs. Probably could have just set all this to air. One thing that I will note as well that a lot of people seem to miss, this here, if you have like whatever you want on top of this, this is not a rev because you can just worm straight underneath that and you can blow in through the floor with a worm if you're stacking one. So at least have three, and then those are going to be sufficient for something light like a counterbox. Set obsidian. Of course, this counterbox is going to be ideal for 360s, but you can use it for anything that you want. So it can be 360s, it can be like normal 255s, just depends on the spacing. To be completely honest as well, I'd be shocked if someone can't fit a 360 in this area. This is like 2x2 chunks. This is a massive area for a 360. 32 blocks long. Yeah, my largest comps are like 24 long for like 1.6384. So if you're struggling to fit a if you're struggling to fit a 360 in there, I'd be slightly confused. I actually don't know the size of the 360 on complex to be fair, but it should fit in that unless it's like done horribly. All right, so that's going to be our counterbox there. So we've got about 5 revs, and now we can just do our last one. Set obsidian, and then I'm just going to stack the edge all the way up. Now, obviously, for this video here, I'm not going to put in the 360. This is just purely me allocating some room for a 360. Just so people don't bitch and complain to me that this space is going to be defenseless, where, well, I've just given you a massive chunk of room here for a 360. So that's what we want. Not going to cut that off. I'm not really going to throw anything else in it. I would say just have one more rev before your have one more rev before your whatchamacallit. One more, what am I saying? One more rev before your counter is what I was trying to say. Anyway, I'm just going to stack this whole area here up to 384. We're back to doing this, aren't we? Sick. At the very, very end of this video as well, I'm going to explain why I personally love pillars and why I find it's disappointing that not many are used on complex anymore. I used to use them all the time in my bases. I haven't made a base in seasons now, so I haven't used any recently, but I can assure you these are still an extremely viable base defense. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I need to be extremely wary of that lava there. So I'm going to do this side first. But basically, there's two main ways you can do this. One, you can basically drench all of these pillars here in an ocean. And two, you can just water the tops of the pillars, basically. And I'm going to opt for something a little bit in the middle. So the pillars on the back, I want the water to flow correctly. So I'm going to break the top block of the pillars in the end. I'm probably just welded at the rest, but you get my idea. These are all going to be watered at the top. However, for the rest of the pillars, there is a concept that gets, I think it's been used once or twice on Complex called web bypass. And basically what that does is it abuses the dry corners. So for the rest of these pillars here, the only ones that we're going to have set up like this is going to be the back row, but the rest of the pillars through this are all going to be drenched in an ocean pretty much. So what I might do here is trying to work out the best way to do this. And I think that's going to be if I select this whole area here. I'm just going to go to the end of these pillars on the end. And the reason for that is I want as much room as possible for our regens. So now I'm just going to go replace. Actually, I don't know if I've done the front. Okay, what I'll do first is I'm just going to replace all of these with water. Replace cobblestone water. All right, so you can see now that's in line. And when I do update all of those, it's just going to flow like the end ones. Now for the rest here, I'm going to basically set this entire, oh, there it goes anyway. I'm going to set this entire area to water. So where are we? There we go. Set water. Bang. All right, so let's see if this, yeah, this is all dry underneath. Let's see. No, it didn't update everything. Okay, so what I'll do now is hopefully this won't lag the server too badly. But I'm just going to take that one there and then let's go up to here and I'm just going to go replace air sand. Yes. Um, sorry, Crystal. Sorry, my PC as well. Oh, okay. I'll look away. It's going to cause some lag. Now we shouldn't get too much of a mess, because all the sand, there it goes. All the sand should be fairly far away from the where I've got my regions. So now I can just go here. All the sand would have fallen by now, so I'm just going to go around the other side, and I'm just going to do / replace sand air. Sand air. There we go. And we should have all this water flowing down now. Look at that. All right. Okay, so it hasn't fully worked out here, but that should be okay. To be honest, I'll fix that up later. Anyway, surprisingly, my PC is taking this pretty well. Then once all that's done, should be pretty close. I'm just going to put a line of slabs all the way around the bottom, and this is just going to be to prevent this water from getting everywhere into this chunk here. And then everything from this point onwards to about there, that's all going to be regens. So I'm just going to set this perimeter to be slabs all the way around. Pretty close. Right. So I'll just clean this water up here. Come on. Really? Really? Why? It's not sourced. Why is it not updating? Whatever. Just jump through and quickly do all this. All right, perfect. So that is the water for the first side. And at the top here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place a line of cobblestone in as well. This is just mostly going to be to contain the water around the cannon box. So it's not so much for this water here. This is all sourced correctly, but it will be to just do the cannon box. So stack 170 north. All right. And then we'll just go here and then we'll do stack 175 east of 176 was. All right, so I'm just going to quickly update the rest of this water. So I'll set this all to sand, and I know that's probably going to spill over the slabs, but I won't worry about that for now. All right, update that all with sand, so all the water's flowing out now, and I'm just going to run around the top quickly, and I'll just set it to water. Or I can place it. It's going to be easier. Set to water, drop the... Okay, yeah, I'll set it to water. Actually, no. Set sand. Stack one down. Set water. Okay, break. We'll just go back over to here. Is there sand sitting there? There is. Oh, hello. How's that happened? That's annoying. We don't really want that. How's that? Oh, I'd say what's happened is it's just turned to sources on the it's turned to sources on the top of the pillars there. So in this area here, that's a source. This isn't a source, but in there it is. I'll fix that up in a little. Bang. All right, let's fix this very, very quickly. So this is going to be there. Yeah. Stack 384 down. And it's going to be this one here too. So I'll just go set air 384 down. Just basically going to need to remember to go down to the bottom and redo the bottom bits as well. Screwed up a couple, but it's all good. All right, so now we're just up to doing these pillars. Okay, so I'm just going to set that to air, set air, stack 384 down. Okay. And now we just need to update this pillar here. So what I might do is go up one and then break it. Yep, all right, perfect. We good. All right, so all that's flowing down, and now I just want to go to the bottom just so we don't get any cobble monster. Okay, so that's the trick there. 1, 2, and then break. 1, 2, break. 1, 2, break. And then we should be good. Might just make them into the nice little pluses as well. Sweet. All right, so this is all done. Yeah, and we've got water all over the slabs. That's okay. At this point here, I'm just going to do a very, very quick time lapse, I think, provided that my technologically illiterate self can remember to put a time lapse in here. I should be okay. of me just doing the rest of these pillars. So hopefully you guys all enjoy. All right. So we're back then. So I've just gone and watered the other side there, as you probably saw in that short time lapse. And for the rest of this video, instead of doing or starting on the hot dogs, I should say, I'm going to very, very quickly run down why pillars are surprisingly good. So this one's going to deviate a little bit from the normal content. So I'm just going to go to my tuts, is my tutorial area where I did my my cannoning tutorial series. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend checking it out. So this here is the damage from a web bus nuke. It's a 5 wide hole. It's not a push nuke. Um, in fact, I could probably show the push nuke. Let's do that. Okay. So push nuke. Yes. Okay. So you can sort of see the damage from the push nuke there. That is, I think it's a 9 wide hole in most spots. Yeah. So it's a 9 wide hole. Now the reason why I'm getting into this is it falls into the first big reason why I think pillars are criminally underrated. So let's make a cobblestone wall. Stack 3, 4 up. So if you say have a normal web bus nuke, it's going to do about a 5 wide hole. 3, 4, 5. So a web bus nuke is going to make a hole like that. And it's going to be like however long the web bus is. Now, a push nuke like that is going to do an 11 wide hole. Red, concrete, terracotta. I don't want to use terracotta, concrete. There we go. Push nuke's going to do an 11 wide. So it's going to be 2 blocks. Wait. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it's 9. Pretty sure it's 9. Yeah, 9. Okay. So a web bus nuke is going to delete a portion of the wall, or not a web bus nuke, a push nuke is going to delete a portion of a wall this wide for however long the push nuke is. Set red, concrete. So that's going to effectively take out your wall completely over 9 different x/z coordinates. However, when we look at a pillar, now of course there's advantages and disadvantages to pillars, but the biggest advantage, 8, 9, is a web boss nuke's only going to be able to bust one of these at a time. A push nuke's only going to be able to bust one of these at a time. So, for example, if you hit this spot here, hit that with a push nuke, the damage turns from that to that. Now, that's a massive decrease in damage. So, the first thing is, it's going to be a lot less to clean up. So, that's the first reason why I find pillars are criminally underrated on Complex at the moment. And the second reason is as a result of this damage sort of thing here. You can see like you can only clear out one of these walls at a time. However, what you can basically do is pair these up with the regens that I'm using for that base. Now, how do you bust these? Let's have a look. So if you want to go through the front here, you need to bust, where are we? Sand. You need to bust 1, 2, 3. Breaks the front bit. You can now shoot through the front. And What that means, in other words, is you need to adjust 3 times to break the front of one. So, what does that mean for this wall? In some situations, maybe 50% of the time, if you need to bust through one of these, you can need to go through 2 pillars instead of one. And that's not going to be the only issue that you're going to run into. Now, imagine what's happening with these, but they're offset like this. So I'm just going to do 2 rows for simplicity, and I'm going to talk about how to fully bust all 3. So if we want to bust through this spot here, let's say we want to fully bust that block there. We can shoot here, but of course there's still lava on the side, so it's going to regen from the side. So now we need to remove this one here as well. So now we need to backstack this way, clear out this one. Now we need to break this one, so which involves stacking there. And now we need to shoot through again and backstack off whatever's behind it, backstack through that, and now we've busted this one here. The problem with this is the more of these you layer on, the more they have to adjust, the more pillars they're going to hit. So instead of them cleaning out a 9 wide hole there with a push nuke or even a 5 wide, you can limit the damage from a push nuke or a web bust nuke into a much smaller area. So instead of busting 9, you're just going to be able to bust by that. Yeah, I'm aware that vaguely looks like a penis, but that's sort of besides the point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's going to be the difference in damage. Hey folks, I'm not quite sure why there, but my recording randomly cut out. So I'm going to attempt to continue on as best I can from showcasing that damage on the wall there. And I'll just slap this on at the end of the video. I've got absolutely no idea why it cut out like that, but unfortunately it did. So from what I could see in the video, I hadn't like talked about, I guess, like the big 3 reasons why you want pillars. So it falls into 3 categories. The first one is damage, which I know I did talk about because you get that 9 wide hole there. So instead of it blowing a 9 wide hole in the wall, you just get a single pillar destroyed per shot. So that's the first advantage. Second advantage is if you are going through pillars like this, or the regen spam basically, you need to adjust a lot to break through this. So especially on my base where I have like 11 or 12 of those in a row and then 3 mine chats, you're going to be adjusting like 13, 14 times or something. Which, if you were to go through that wall there, you may be able to get through with like 2 adjusts. Whereas if you're going through pillars, you might need to do 7 or 8 adjusts through the pillars multiple times. And of course, this is going to compound with the ones on the front as well. And then finally, these pair really, really nicely with stuff like hot dogs and filters. You can see the main way that you're going to bust hot dogs and filters like this is you need to backstack through all of the lava. In this case here, it means you need to backstack through this. And with these pillars here, you can't backstack on this. You can with center stacking, but I'll show you how to completely counter center stacking when I do make the hot dogs. And then you run into the issue where you need to backstack 2 chunks worth of shit. And if someone's smart enough and they get in there with a shovel, you could be backstacking for hours. And if they patch first wall, you're going to be backstacking absolutely nothing at all. So yeah, I guess in conclusion, these things function really, really well. They don't. Well, they have their upsides and downsides, of course. You can shoot between them, so you can somewhat dodge some walls by shooting between them. However, that's negated by having a bunch of defenses behind them as well. So that's why I absolutely love filters, and that's why I'm just completely shocked that they aren't used on complex as much as they should be. So I'll catch you all later. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and sorry about the patch up at the end here, and I'll see you all in the next one.